The situation looks an awful lot like 1776, frankly.
So I give a disclaimer to let them know, look, this is going on my YouTube. You know what I'm saying? At least I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to put the full show up so that you had the narrative. What happens is when you get clipped up, you don't have the narrative if you don't post the full episode. So then what happens is people can take you out of context. You know? So there it is. Hey, yo, Snatch.
Do you know Snatch?
Yeah, I do know Snatch. Snatch ain't been on here in months. Hey, Snatch, before I let you up, are you gonna be cool?
Yeah, we need that. We don't need the negativity here.
Cause Snatch, I need that confirmed. If you're gonna be cool, I'll let you up. If you're not gonna be cool, then okay. He said yes, sir. I have your. If I have your word, I'm gonna let you up.
I usually reserve my beef for people who call it out of me. I don't just like start off hot. With friends, you don't necessarily have to agree with what they do with their life, but because you're their friend, you respect it. With your partner, on the other hand, the decisions they make directly affect your life, so you can't ignore it. You know what I mean? So I would pick my partner as a priority over my friends.
If we talking an ultimatum situation where your friend said it's either your lady or me, or vice versa, your lady says it's either me or your friends, how does that go?
They both have equal say-so in my decisions. Zero. Zero. Like, I'm not giving ultimatums by my wife, because that's not how that works. But my friend, on the other hand, it's the garbage taking itself out at that point.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, especially with the wife thing. Now, what if she's not your wife yet?
She might get disqualified for being considered as a wife just for giving me an ultimatum.
I think as long as a man can carry himself, not even you, he can provide for himself, he's comfortable in his own space, and he's working on his self-esteem, that for me is good enough. Because that then says, 1 + 1 makes 2, and we're going to be fine because we're going to figure out the other bits and pieces. The problem comes when that person who, like you said, isn't at the end goal, then starts feeling less than. And it shows up in the way he tries to dress you down, or he tries to put you down, or tries to humble you because he doesn't feel good about himself. And unfortunately, that is a risk that you take by being with someone who's not there. And when I say not there, I'm on about the basics of being able to look after yourself comfortably, not waiting for a paycheck and then always being £50 short each week, because you're not managing yourself well, always totally, not looking after yourself. So that is a risk. So you have to kind of calculate the risks that you're taking, because time is precious. And I think depending what stage of life you're at, if you're in your 20s, 30s, okay, you got more time. But when you get to an older age, you're comfortable with yourself. You know who you are. And then you want someone who's going to come and add to your life, because otherwise there's no point. Not in my opinion, because what is the point bringing an extra person in?
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I can't really disagree with an opinion, but I would say that it's not necessarily the smartest choice to make in thinking that he would just have to carry his own weight, because as a father, a husband, the ability for a man to carry more than his own weight, meaning like provide for his family, that's not an optional thing. It shouldn't be an optional thing unless the woman is assuming that she's of equal she has equal ability in providing, protecting, and all. Like it's not a one-to-one equivalent. So I would want him to do his job to the best of his ability.
And I hear that,
Yeah.
and I
But
think that's
also,
fair.
I would point out though that pointing out someone's if someone is not fulfilling their part, I wouldn't consider it insecurity to point it out. So it's not like so much that the husband would be dressing down a wife or degrading her by pointing out that she's lacking in a specific area. We're supposed to do that in helping.
But you see, this is what I mean. It depends what stage of life you're at. With someone who you tend to have a family with, then absolutely, he has to perhaps be in a place where he can do those roles, if that is the agreement that you both have. But I was referring more to if you've been past that stage of life where you've had your children, you've had your jobs, you've had your marriages, and now you're meeting someone later on in life, you're not going to have the same kind of needs that you would if you were, single, both of you not had any kids and you don't intend to have a family with them. It would be slightly different.
Well, I think it goes. I think it goes a little beyond that, Dr. Love. If you will allow me to ask a particular scenario or question, it doesn't have to be personal, but it is going to be a scenario. Is there going to be any scenario where your kids may be alone with the new husband?
No, any person I choose to be in my life, all those boxes would be ticked. Is he got that instinct? Whilst I'm not expecting him to provide, does he, all I want from any person I meet is respect the fact that they are my children, give them respect and they give you respect. That is the only thing I ask. Now, if we're in a situation and let's say he's taken them to the park or we all meet up for a meal and there's a group of guys, I don't know, going to jump my kid or whatever, would I expect my partner to jump in? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. Because you're my king and you love me. Therefore, you love everything about me. And my children are part of the package. And then that would be an expectation. Of course it would be.
There it is. I just wanted to get there because I knew that would still be required.
Of course, Fifth.
I'm not mad at it, but I'm just saying that.
No, but Fifth, what I'm saying is I'm not saying, you know how I feel about men. I feel men are very important. A man and a woman's relationship is sacred. I think women do need men. I understand it's more of a want now, which is understandable as well. It has its place. But I've always said together we are powerful. On our own, we are not. So for me, the only thing I'm doing is taking the financial responsibility off the person. If they choose to financially contribute and it's something they want to do, I'm not going to sit there and say no. But all I'm saying is it's not an expectation. That's the only difference I'm saying. But when it comes to protecting and we're all out, and if my man was just standing there while we're getting battered, I'm going to lose a hell of a lot of respect for you.
Which would you say is a larger investment? Financial or the risk of losing your life protecting someone? Which is a higher cost, do you think?
This is a really tricky question to answer because money, we all need money, right? So there's more context to this because if I'm providing and I'm earning and I can make my family run, then finances wouldn't be the most important. But for whatever reason, let's say I couldn't work and my partner was, then finances are going to be very important because without them, we're not going to be able to survive.
Okay, so which one is more?
Oh, this one's hard because it depends on the situation. It depends on the... Chase, come on, stop it.
Hey, Snatch. Let me answer it real quick. A life is definitely more important.
Mm-hmm.
that easily could be answered.
Yeah.
But how often is our life at threat?
You only can lose it once, though. You can't lose your life more than once.
Correct. But how many times in realistic terms is our life threatened on a daily basis? But I tell you what is threatened is our financial stability on a daily basis.
It's really important because even if only 1% of this cup of water was piss, I'd still be mad that the 1%, it ain't got to be a lot. It's still not good. So just saying it doesn't happen often doesn't really take away from how important it is.
No, I hear you.
Yes.
I'm finding it hard to separate the two because I'm thinking they are both equally as important. You know, and depending on the context, because if only one person's working and you don't have any money coming in, then you're screwed, right?
I have
The
a
food's
stay-at-home
gonna
wife.
dry
She
up.
don't work.
Pardon?
My wife is a stay-at-home wife. She don't work.
But you work, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now if you lose the finances, what's going to happen?
I'm gonna keep working and keep doing my job.
But say you lost your job. Let's say there's no finances coming in.
My family's not gonna break apart because I have a solid relationship. My role isn't dependent on my dollar bills.
Okay. How often is your family at risk and needs protecting?
Every day. Earth is a dangerous place, ma'am.
Okay, fair enough. So, okay, so I hear what you're saying. But I think when there is no finances, I think when the finances have dried up, it does cause problems in even the strongest of relationships.
Especially if the couple thinks that they're equal to each other because they work. That definitely makes it even more complicated, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's why if there's not an equality in my relationship, I'm the provider, protector, husband. She's the wife, the helpmate, and nurturer. Two different jobs.
But to me, that's still equal in the sense where you both are equal in respect and what you're both trying to do for your home and your children, but you have different responsibilities. And you may be the one who leads the path because you're the man. And I can totally get that.
So Dr. Love, I think what we experience in real time is a difference between men and women when in terms of when it comes to protection mode, we're always protecting. Like for instance, I don't have a wife, right? I don't have a girlfriend, but I have my mother, and I'm always protecting her. Always, my antennas is up all the time. Even though even when we live in different places, you know what I'm saying? Between me and my brother, our antennas are always up, and we're not gonna let nothing happen to our mother. Guess what? Our mother is our mother. She's willing to put her life on the line for us, but even then, we're still men. You know, we don't want that. I think women better understand that when it comes to protecting their kids. When I talk to women, women will tell me all the time they'll jump in front of a bullet for their kids. They'll jump in front of a car for their kids. Ask them if they'll jump in front of a bullet or dive in front of a car for their husband. You get a different answer. But the husband will risk his life trying to save both his wife and his kids that could result in his ending.
I get that. And that's why you have the protection role, Fifth, and not women.
Yeah. Right. So, Snatch, when you asked her the question about what's more valuable, it was way easier for me to answer that. Why? Because I'm a man.
That's part of the reason, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that women tend to over exaggerate their role in the whole scenario. It's like it's not meaningless and it's not worthless or useless. Like they're not less than, but to think that it's equal is a big mistake. A big mistake. I was commenting in the comment section about it. Like, this is not for Dr. Love specifically. I just want to say that I'm not personalizing it in any way, but I wonder why women who end up a single parent don't prioritize their children, because they may not need a man, but the children need a father figure. So if your children are your priority, that should be a priority.
100%. And I think it is for a lot of women. I think, you know, sometimes like in my situation, I call it, I shouldn't have to call it fortunate, right? I shouldn't have to call it fortunate, but I know a lot of single parents who don't have what I have, which is a co-parenting role where the father and the mother are the main, even though we're not together. We were together for 21 years. So even though we're not together, we take that role as parents very seriously. So they are our priority. When they're under my care, they are my priority first, which is why I made the choice not to have another man live in my house full time while my kids are still young. When they grow up and they leave, absolutely. Because I don't want to be on my own. I want to wake up next to someone every morning and cook and make cute tea cakes and, pounce about. Of course I want to do that. But there's a time and a place. I have made a choice to be a mother. Now I have to fulfill that role.
Well, Beyonder, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I have a question, and this is not to anyone in particular, but when it comes to I think we can all agree that when you're in a marriage and you have kids, the kids are definitely a priority, right? And if that's such a thing, if that's true, right? If it's true that both parties believe that the kids are the priority, then why is it, no matter what the problem is, that women are the ones that, put forth the divorce when it's going to break up the whole family?
Would you like me to answer that, Beyonder?
Yeah, I mean, if you have, it's not a question. I'm not trying to be assumptive.
You're asking a question.
Some perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the perspectives I will offer you is this. It is a known fact that we all talk about children coming from broken homes because, the parents have separated. But there's always talk about that. What there isn't enough talk about is the damage that two parents that do not get on with each other, that cannot communicate with each other, that are absolutely toxic with each other, but remain in the relationship for the sake of the children. Nobody talks about the actual damage that does to the children. Now, I'm very fortunate once again, because in my position, I meet those children who have grown up to become full-fledged adults. And the thing that they say over and over again, I wish my dad had left my mum. Mostly I hear, I wish my mum had left my dad. These are the children that have come from those homes that the two parents were in, but it was not a healthy relationship. Because guess what? You've got young little babies walking around who are modeling, learning behavior from the adults in that house. And when two adults do not get on, you are actually causing more disruption than a family that has gone different ways and still co-parents, because that's the healthiest option. Children who don't get to see their parents, that is a different, that brings different kinds of trauma. But just because you stay in a relationship, even if you say, well, we don't argue in front of the children, which is normally the defense line when two people are in the relationship, but they don't love each other. The issue is here. Children are very receptive, much more receptive than we give them credit for. They know when things are off. That's how you make anxious children, because they are looking for the cues. They know when mum's upset. They can feel the energy. They can read the face. They can tell when dad's annoyed because he walks in and the way he behaves. They know, but they don't know how to resolve it. They don't know how to fix it. So those children have just as many, if not more, issues than what we all claim to know about broken families.
I don't know any man that would come on this panel and say that he would stay with his wife, and his wife came home and she said, yeah, I'm going to keep cheating on you. I mean, let's keep it real. I don't know a man who would sit up here and say that he would stay with his wife.
There's a double standard amongst men and women, and it absolutely should be there. There's a double standard. Like, for example, Kobe's wife stayed with him, and no, I'm not looking down at that woman because she stayed with him, but in the other reverse, and nobody looking at Will Smith like he's an OG, so it affects us differently. That's why the response would be different.
But you have to unpack that, though. The reason why Vanessa stayed is because she's not going to get another Kobe Bryant.
That's the same about most.
If she would have gotten a better guy, she would have left.
Yeah, most women are not going to upgrade.
Because they can.
There's so many men that, they have women, and the women are very aware that they're still doing their thing. That doesn't stop them from being with that guy. That's not cheating at that point. That's her knowing that it's open. Exactly.
No, that doesn't mean that's right though. It's still
Well,
wrong.
No, he's
get to
making a
consent.
point. See, but we got to make sure we're not conflating. So a man who's in an open situation is very different from a man who's going behind his woman's back.
Yeah.
Now,
If the man is
Kobe,
willing to tell him, like if the man tells you, look, I'm sorry, I should have told you, I was a dirtbag, I lied, I should have never did this. Let me lay it out all on the table for you. Look, this is what it is. I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna provide for you. I'm gonna do all this. But keep in mind, I need this to happen for me, and it's a non-negotiable. If a woman leaves that scenario because of, oh, she's unhappy and takes the children, I'm gonna say she's a bad lady. That's my opinion.
I'm sorry, but you know, I'm listening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on. Let me answer this, right? Because none of you guys are calling up Snatch, right? But let me call you out, Snatch. So you're gonna call her a bad mother because her partner has now told her, well, hold on, you're not going to be the only queen in this house. You're going to be sharing the house with a lot of, or I'm going to have a lot of women. And you are saying she is a bad mother because she takes the children and leaves. Hold on. You are a bad father for being so promiscuous and putting your children and the mother of those children in a predicament she never chose to be in. So to you, sir.
Yeah,
And
you don't
she
have the
should
same leverage
absolutely
as the husband, though. You don't have the same leverage as the husband.
listen, beyond it, there's no, you know what, there is a leverage. You know, just because one is a leader does not mean you can treat the woman like crap and she has to put up with it. But the statement that you are a bad mother because you picked the kids and left, no, she did the right thing because he is a bad father for not acting like the father.
He's a bad husband. He's not a bad father. He's a bad husband. There's a difference.
Well, if he's a bad husband, then he might be a bad husband, but the fact that that decision he's making is not only affecting his wife, it is affecting his children, because what are you teaching your children?
She takes it out on the children. He didn't cheat on the children.
But what are you teaching your children, sir? Be
Nothing.
promiscuous.
My children are not.
No, you
my children are not privy to these conversations.
No, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You know, men that cheat and women that cheat, do you know that's a learned behavior and that's a belief system that they've learned that it's okay to cheat?
You sure about that?
And often those people, it's factual, sir. Go and check up psychology. And also, it is also proven that those people, because when you cheat, it's an ego thing. It's an issue with you and your self-worth. It's not to do with the woman or the man. It's an ego thing. It is a self-projection of how you feel about yourself because you have a void that you cannot fill. So you go for numerous altercations, relationships, because you cannot feel whole with one. And that is why you do it. So you being in that relationship, why I call you a bad father, is because you are now teaching your children a belief system that absolutely, if you have a son, you've just taught him, son, go and cheat with whoever you want. You know what? I'm just saying why you're a bad father, because you said a woman is bad because she took her kids out of that situation. So I'm just giving you an opposite.
Yeah,
so when that man is cheating and he's showing his son that it's okay, son, I'm going to treat your mother this way. Guess what? He's going to grow up and treat his woman the same way. That woman, that little girl that you're raising, she's going to start believing that men cannot be loyal. So she is also going to alter her qualification of what loyalty she offers. You see how you create a generation from your behavior.
Times you did that, both times you heard what I said and then you turned it into something completely. I never said the conversation happened with the children. You're the one saying that the husband
You're not
is
getting
saying
my
this to
point.
the children. Yeah, you're changing the scenario so that you can, you know.
No. What you're not doing is you're not hearing the point that I'm making, which is, I'm giving my own examples, but I'm trying to make you understand. But I can now see you have a certain mindset that you think it's okay to behave how you wish, and your wife has to accept because you are the provider and the earner. And I don't subscribe to that, sir.
And that's why you're not a married wife right now, right?
How do you know I'm not married right now?
I don't know. How do you know I'm a bad father and we're strangers? I'm not making predictions about you.
You just said in your own conversation, my wife, so you've already declared that you are married to your wife and you are working and your wife does not work, so she's at home. I think that's
this hypothetical
really healthy.
Is my real life.
I think that's really healthy. However, your mindset is, I am the man, I'm the provider, I am going to be the protector. Therefore, whatever I do, you have to put up with. And if you
That's not
don't,
what I said.
you may not have said
Hey,
it, sir, but I have totally.
hey, really quick. We're gonna we can come back to this, but we're gonna get to your own goal.
Can I give the functional equivalent so people don't think I'm just one-sided about this? For example, as the husband, if we're driving and we're in a car accident of some kind and my wife's hip bone or whatever, like she gets injured and her ability to, satiate my needs is the way I'll describe it, right? If that's affected, I don't think it's right for the husband to abandon the wife because she was injured and she can't fulfill that part of her role. His job and duty is to protect and provide for her for the entirety of her life, not only until she stops functioning. So this isn't a one-sided grow up and do your job. It's a two-sided grow up and do your job. It's just women think that when they are unhappy, that they themselves are the barometer of whether or not the family should stay together. And I think that's just audacity. They're destroying relationships over their feelings.
And I agree with that part too. I just think that for the more extreme examples, like let's say, physical abuse, rape, whatever, like those situations, I can understand a woman leaving.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right.
I never said stay there if he's throwing you knuckle sandwiches. I don't know who told her that.
Right. And but also though, right? Also, sexual immorality outside of the marriage is it is due for divorce. Like if a woman wants to divorce, she can say if she wants to, but most women aren't going to stay if a man is continuously cheating and spreading his spiritual whatever with other women,
Yeah, emotional abuse is also abuse too. When a woman says, oh, if you don't do this like this, and they start crying and like they hold the entire house hostage until you make them feel better, that's an emotional manipulation and abuse as well. It's just men aren't complaining about it. It's funny how the abuse only works one way.
I understand that. I'm just saying that I think that's what she's saying. No, Dr. Love, I think Dr. Love is pretty much saying that, for the cheating thing, that like it is like it's not necessarily selfish, it's more so, it's not the example that I want for my kid. Now if she wants to stay, that's up to her, but it has to be some sort of repentance in that man for her to take him serious. Otherwise, if he keeps doing it, then that's on that. It would be wise for the woman to leave than to stay with the man if the man is not going to show any remorse or even attempt to repent for his sins.
Do you believe that it's possible for one woman to completely satiate a man's needs?
No.
That's exactly the point. So being honest with the woman, that's the highest level of respect you're going to get, because I'm not going to all of a sudden stop being a human being just because you said so.
Period.
I would want my daughter to stay with the king.
On the other
if my
side,
daughter
though,
married a king, and if my daughter had a king as a husband, and he was like the president of Earth, and he wanted to sleep with other women, I would tell my daughter, be quiet. You're married to the president of Earth. Relax.
Oh my God. I don't even think I can hear you.
So hold on.
I don't think Snatch is talking about that. Snatch, in my opinion, has a mindset of he can do what he wants, and his partner, whoever that would be or is, would have to basically put up with it. And if they didn't, then, because he's providing, and that is the mentality a lot of women have an issue with, because it's not about having a leader in the house. It's someone who also respects you, someone who also understands you. But I think Snatch's ideology of a relationship is, well, I'm the boss of things, you are with me, you're not unequal in any shape or form. And I'm not saying equal in men and women are the same, because we are not, but respecting that a woman has her own strength and a man has his own strength, and together you become powerful. His analogy, I'm not saying these are your words, I'm saying it's my opinion. Again, you're not listening, Snatch, right? So it's about, in my opinion, so for me to continue trying to convince someone, or you to convince someone whose mindset is fixed, in my opinion, is absolutely wasting my breath and is pointless. So I'm actually done with this conversation, and I'm going to go and have a nice coffee. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
I have been here for a while.
What are you doing? I have to go before I put your head
Fifth,
through
I
a wall.
remember you earlier, you were mentioning something about saving it or whatever. You think I could get a clip of this episode too? Just wondering. Sorry.
I'm gonna upload the whole thing on my YouTube.
That's fair. I'll take that, because there's definitely a clip to be had. Then a lesson to be learned.